Yep, there's the queen. Hey Beak Squad, David Burns with you today. I'm pumped and excited to share with you a new technique for inspecting your hive as far as manipulating your frames go. A lot of talk is around about, do you put the frames back in the exact same spot that you took them out of? Does it hurt the hive if you manipulate your frames? Well, you've watched me. I don't always put them back in the same place. I recommend that you do, but a new study shows it really doesn't matter. And today I'm going to show you a technique that I developed that I think I was the first one to ever come up with this, as far as I know, that makes inspecting the frames and putting them back in very easy. I'm going to open up a hive, walk you through it. Let's get started. Now, one of the things I want to teach you guys about inspecting, a study came out just today, like June the 8th, I think, saying that if you don't put frames back in the exact same order that you take them out, it really doesn't matter, that the bees are pretty resilient. And one of the things that I try to do when I inspect all 10 frames like this is that I'll pull this one out closest to the wall for the reason that the queen is usually not over here, so I don't have to worry about rolling her as I pull this frame out. Usually there's no brood over here, it's mostly honey. So I leave this one outside the hive, and that gives me space to slide frames toward me as I inspect. And when I do, I slide them all this way. This frame that's outside of the hive, I will have all of these 9 frames pulled this way, including that one. And then I put the one I took out here, I slide it against this wall. Now, that's a neat way to do it. And if you do the math, if you think about it, if you inspect a hive a whole season, it will take you about a whole season to actually get this frame back in its original position, if that makes sense. I'll show you. Let's just get started. This is a neat technique, so watch this video all the way through so you can see this frame is empty, nothing on it. Pretty lightweight, like I said. That's why I start over here. Oftentimes this is the last frame to be drawn out, and this is relatively a new deep that I added not too long ago at all, so they're just starting to work it, even though it has some drawn comb on it. All right, we got crazy comb a little bit. You can see what's going on over here, and it looks pretty good. I don't see any eggs or anything in here. Let me look again. Let's keep working our way across. Now, like I said, this frame here had a little bit of kind of stretched out comb. Do you see how it's a little bit bumpy right in there? Not to worry. I don't care about that. So as I look for eggs, I'm not seeing any eggs, so they're drawing this out for honey production. So this is what I mean. I'm pulling these frames now. I'm putting this one just barely off the wall. That's usually its final position it needs to be in. So now these two I'll never have to manipulate again. This is better for your bees, because a lot of times I used to do it when I was done inspecting. I had to move all the frames in order to make them the way they were. But again, 9 of these frames will be in their original same position toward each other. Boy, this one is really pretty heavy, but it's got some good brood on it. It's a super frame in a deep box, and that means that they're going to make some drone brood on the bottom and good capped over brood in the center. And then it rainbows out to larvae, pollen, nectar. Pretty typical rainbow effect. Now, if you wanted to do Mite Control, you could tear these drone on the bottom. You could tear that off and do away with it, or you can leave it on there like I'm doing. We need drones, so I'm just going to ignore it. I do that on purpose, just to be able to have a little bit more drone, and sometimes I do it just because I'm desperate. I don't have a deep frame when I'm in a yard, and I just throw a super in there, and that's what happens. All right, and now I've been teaching you guys about misreading your queen, and I want to teach this to you again. This is going to be a great frame to explore. Well, most of us that have been in beekeeping for a while, we're going to say that's not a bad brood pattern. There's some open brood at the top, maybe some hygienic behavior. Don't know, don't worry about that. It's not perforated for foul brood, anything like that. It looks healthy. And there's a lot of larvae and a lot of eggs. And if we flip it over though, this could make somebody think, Uh-oh, my queen is got spotty brood, because it just doesn't look normal, does it? But let me show you another frame. You can't judge a queen by simply looking and deciding about one frame only. There may be other causes that are happening that make that look unusual. So look at this. We were concluding that she didn't have a good brood pattern. Had we not lifted this frame up, we might have killed the queen and replaced her, right? But look, can you get a better brood pattern than that? Or that? So let me show you. Let me pull this other frame up again, that sometimes you misjudge the queen by misreading a frame. Again, let's take a look. Oh no, not a good brood pattern. Even the capped over brood in the center. A little bit of spaces that are missed. Uh-oh, not a good brood pattern, right? But then you look at the next frame and there can't be any better brood pattern. Look at that. Solid, solid. So be careful, guys, when you're evaluating your queen. Don't just evaluate your queen based on one particular frame. We're working our way across. This is the main thing I want to show you. When you inspect every frame, you're actually working your way across and you're not having to re-manipulate your frames again. Now we're getting into nectar with honey capped over at the top. And here we go. Let me look down in the cells. Don't see any brood. Again, that's nectar being put in. Just drop that back in. Got 2 more frames to look at. This is when you want to do a more thorough inspection by looking at all the frames that you can. Okay, they're pulling this out for honey storage over here, and they got the nectar going. They put that closer to the wall, as we would expect. And the next frame next to the wall has always been the place where I find more wonky comb, and you just have to kind of deal with it sometimes. But see, they're not really pulling this frame out much at all, just getting started. So what I can do is, let me show you. I'm pulling these frames back toward me. So I've got 9 frames in here, and now I don't have to touch these 9 frames. Please pay attention. So what you want to do is tighten these 9 up. Leave this gap over here. You always want a little space against the wall. But use your hive tool like this to make sure that the gaps between the frames fill up. Now this is a little bit off. There we go. So use your hive tool to tighten up all the frames. And what we're going to do now is put the frame that we took out that was in this position, we're going to place it over here in this position. Now let me tell you a few reasons why this is beneficial. If you remember, this is the comb that isn't drawn out on one side, a little bit wonky. If we left it in the 10th position over here, it may always stay that way. They may never get on there. But now, every 2 weeks, it's going to be rotated closer. About every 2 weeks, twice a month, it's going to move. So you're looking at this frame getting closer and closer to the middle, passing through the middle. So in a course of a whole bee season, that frame here that was right here, that frame is going to just rotate all the way through, and it's going to be a neat way to do it. So I've never heard this concept before. It's something that I came up with myself, and it's just a way that I can make sure that frames are pulled out evenly and that one frame doesn't always stay unpulled or undrawn out. And also allow some space over here. Use this extra comb, or use this frame that you put in here to make everything tight in the middle. All right, let's take a look at the bottom deep. A lot of you oftentimes send me pictures or ask email questions about what your bees are doing based on what you're observing in the entrance. You can't do that. You got to go into the hive, start examining what's going on in the hive. And look at that. They haven't done much with the new frames yet. They've gone up into the drawn comb that I already had given them up above, but they are starting to stretch out. into these other new frames. So I started this hive, maybe it was a split, I can't remember, maybe it was a package, a nuke or something. But these were the 5 frames that I started with, giving them 5 on the outside. That's, again, a good plan of mine is to take this frame out and just start moving it this way during the inspection process. You understand? Now in this case, it doesn't matter a whole lot because this frame that I'm looking at first in the number 1 position here toward me is simply not drawn out, and probably so is that one. Oh, it's drawn out a little bit. There's a little bit of a start. All right. Let's keep looking at the next new one right here, and let's see what it looks like. We're also inspecting the hive. They've drawn out the back side a little bit, and they've drawn out the front side a lot and packed it full of pollen. Look at that great pollen in there. All right, we glance for the queen during the inspection, but we know she's not going to be there. Again, this one's going to be in its final position. We don't have to manipulate it again. It's going to be right there. All right, let's work our way across. Looking at this next frame here, frame number 3, because I took one out. Again, don't judge the brood pattern because these, the brood in the middle has emerged and they're drying it out, cleaning it, getting ready for the queen to lay some more brood in there. We've already seen her laying pattern up above and she's doing good. So this is looking good too. A lot of eggs and larvae down in these empty cells being replaced, so that's good. Let's keep working our way across. How long should an inspection last? How long should it take? It's going to take as long as you need to. I always tell people when you inspect a hive, you want to have 2 different types of inspections. One type is to go in every 2 weeks and look for eggs. If you see eggs, you're done, get out. But as you want to look for pests and diseases, you want to spend more time in the hive looking at each frame. So today we're looking at each frame. So that's going to take you, I don't know, anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. Taking us longer because I'm talking to you and I'm showing you stuff. But see, that's a good brood pattern right there compared to the one that we just looked at. Good laying queen. We're happy. Let's keep working our way across. Don't forget the smoke. Sometimes you get too occupied in your inspection and you forget to keep the beehive smoked. We just saw a good frame of capped brood, and here is a frame where they have emerged. We got a lot of brood, so we're not worried about the hive. They've got a lot of frames of brood that are well capped over. Be emerging any day. For reference, if you see a frame like I showed you, capped on both sides, that's almost about 7,000 new bees that will emerge out of there. There's about 3,500 cells on each side. Now this frame is full of eggs and very young larvae down in the cells here. So the queen has been here recently laying those eggs, getting this frame ready for brood production. Same on the other side. Some eggs, brood being laid. Let's look for the queen again over here in case we missed her. Anytime you see eggs, it means that the queen is in the neighborhood, very close by. I don't see anything there. Let's make sure we smoke them again. Yep, we're on our bottom deep, looking at things, looking at all 20 frames today. Isn't that amazing? It's fun stuff to do, isn't it? All right, good frame of brood. Look at that. And I want to show you some things on this frame. There's some blobs, but that's just drone brood being blobbed up like that. I don't know if that's a queen cell. I want to take my finger, move the bees off there. Right there, that's just drone brood. Look at this side here. Another example of very good brood pattern. Very nice. And you can see on the very end here, young larvae and eggs. Again, the queen is really working hard to fill out these frames of brood. I'm not seeing her, so let's put this frame back. Oh, I see her. She was right there, wasn't she? You probably saw her too. Just happened to see her walking by. Yep, there's the queen. All right, good. Watch the queen all the way in. Now we're going to go ahead and inspect the 10 frames because that's what I'm teaching you to do in case you didn't see your queen or you were looking for pests and diseases. Look at all 10. We know the queen's on here. This is going to be a frame being pulled out on that side for nectar. And these two here are empty, so we don't have to pull them up. All right, so let's stretch them. This is a technique again, remember? All right, so we're going to take this frame that has a little comb on it that we took out from number 1 position. We're going to put it over here to number 10, away from me. All right, we're done. Let's smoke them down and put the hive back together. Some people say the queen doesn't go down, but in this case she does because there's a lot of eggs and brood up in the top deep, and now she's down in the bottom deep. She moved down on her own accord. Isn't that amazing what you can do with these frames and make it simpler for you when you're doing your inspections? It's just so much easier. Guys, I really love you. I really appreciate you being part of my beekeeping channel. It means a lot to me and Sherry. We have a ball with you guys. Have a ball with you on Thursday night, live streams, everything like that. We work hard to help you be a better beekeeper. I kind of think it shows, doesn't it? So thanks so much for being a part of the YouTube channel here. And be sure and click on subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. It means so much. Now I've got a video right here I want you guys to watch. You guys ask me this question a lot. David, why don't you use inner covers? Well, follow the video right here. I'll see you over there. We'll explain it.